Welcome. This is a voiced-over presentation about the program monitoring validation for LEAs providing private nonprofit equitable services through timely and meaningful consultation. This presentation will go through the requirements of the selected program monitoring validation. This presentation is intended solely to provide general information and guidance to Texas ESCs, LEAs, and participating private schools, and reflects the Texas Education Agency's current understanding of statute and applicable federal guidance. The content of this presentation is subject to change as a result of further potential information and guidance provided by federal agencies with regulatory oversight of these programs. This presentation does not constitute legal advice, and entities are, therefore, advised to seek legal counsel regarding the information and guidance provided in this presentation before acting on such information and guidance. Documenting overall compliance for a program requirement may require several forms of documentation to be maintained locally and available upon request by TEA and/or an auditor. To ensure overall compliance with program requirements, LEA should refer to the program guide and/or other program-related resources that reference the multiple forms of documentation required to be maintained locally. The documentation requested for submission during the random validation process may not include all forms of documentation that are required to be maintained locally. Given the increased use of virtual meeting environments, participant rosters that include the meeting title, meeting date, and stakeholder names and roles would be acceptable substitutes for the more traditional sign-in sheets. This eliminates the need of a participant signature. LEA staff should review the most current program monitoring validations process handbook. It includes introduction, general information, a timeline of the program monitoring validation process from the point of LEAs being notified of selection through the TEA final results being shared with LEAs. In addition, LEAs must follow the instructions for submitting the documentation through the Federal Program Compliance Program Monitoring Validations Work app. The PMV process handbook also provides resources and tools to help LEAs with specific program guidance for selected validation item and a seamless transition through the submission process. This is a snapshot of the relevant pages of the handbook for the LEA's selected program monitoring validations item. LEA should review the handbook for suggested documentation, guidance, and submission instructions. For the validation, the LEA may review the handbook for documentation requested, instructions for assembling documentation, the documentation review process, as well as resources and statute references. LEAs must provide documentation that they provided timely and meaningful consultation with participating private schools. These are continued pages of the handbook sections of that requirement in which the LEA is being validated. It continues with statute references, specific program provisions and assurances, compliance report requirements, and TEA contact information for questions. LEAs must submit documentation from the past year through the Federal Program Compliance Division's Program Monitoring Validations Work app. The ESA Section 1117 provides the statutory requirement for Title I Part A, Private Nonprofit Equitable Services, timely and meaningful consultation requirements. The ESA Section 8501 provides the statutory requirements for Title I Part A, Title II Part A, Title IV Part A, and Title IV Part B. All of those programs fall under the Title VIII ESA Section 8501 that provides information regarding the timely and meaningful PNP consultation requirements. Program-specific provisions and assurances related to the Title I Part A PNP Equitable Services Program may be found in the LEA Consolidated Federal Grant Application on pages 22 through 23, item number 9. And it states, to ensure timely and meaningful consultation, the LEA shall consult with appropriate private school officials during the design and development of the LEA's Title I Part A programs. The LEA and private school officials shall both have the goal of reaching agreement on how to provide equitable and effective programs for eligible private school children. Program-specific provisions and assurances related to the Title VIII programs may be found in the LEA Consolidated Federal Grant Application on various pages that are listed on the slide. The assurance for all Title VIII programs states the LEA will provide services to eligible children attending private elementary schools and secondary schools in accordance with Section 8501 and timely and meaningful consultation with private school officials regarding such services. On the LEA compliance report, one of the program compliance self-check indicators are for the district to provide timely and meaningful consultation with private nonprofit school officials regarding the implementation of the Title I Part A and Title VIII programs. The consultation must have occurred before the district made any decisions that affect the opportunities of eligible private nonprofit school children, teachers, and other educational personnel to participate in the program and continue throughout the implementation and assessment of program activities. Since the due date for ESSA PMP affirmation of consultation forms occurs in September, there is no need to submit the affirmations through the program monitoring validation process. TEA staff will retrieve the LEA's latest affirmation of consultation forms, which previously were submitted. The documentation must be from the past school year. However, the LEA should submit acceptable documentation which provides evidence that timely and meaningful consultation with participating private nonprofit school officials occurred. Acceptable evidence would include dated meeting agendas, meeting notes, emails, and/or other documentation to support timely and ongoing consultation meetings. LEAs must submit sample requested documentation for each title program in which a private nonprofit school is participating. 2 samples of the documentation that is dated should be submitted. Given the increase of virtual meeting environments, participant rosters that include the meeting title, meeting date, and participant names and roles will be acceptable substitutes for the more traditional sign-in sheets. This eliminates the need of a participant signature. So if an LEA conducted consultation meetings with private nonprofit schools through Zoom or other virtual platforms, it may still submit electronic documentation of PNP school officials who attended. Written documentation supporting timely and meaningful private nonprofit consultation meetings. There are a few issues that could result in an improvement needed status for the LEA. Auditable documentation from the past year requested was not submitted. Documentation submitted did not reference the requested PNP validation requirement. The documentation did not indicate ongoing consultation occurred during the past year being validated, or documentation did not provide at least 2 dated samples from the past school year. These are just a few of the issues that could result in an improvement needed status. Now I will share a few of the program monitoring validations process resources that are available through TEA. We have several program monitoring online resources for the overall process, such as the Program Monitoring Validation Process Handbook, instructions for submitting documentation, training video and training slides, navigating the Smartsheet work app system, guidance documents for each program and requirement, training videos and slides for each of the program requirements. This is where the district can find all program-related tools and resources for the ESA program monitoring validations. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this short video regarding the selected LEA program monitoring validation. Thank you for all you do for students and families that you serve. You do make a difference. Thank you for attending the session. If there are any questions following this training, feel free to call or send an email to Lenny Treges, PNP Ombudsman and Title IV Part A Program Director, or reach out to your local ESC. Thank you and have a wonderful day.